We're snorting cap rates and shooting up cash flow here at Deal Junkies. Welcome back. We're the Deal Junkies. Mike shooting up cash flow.
I don't do that right. I have enough experience, apparently.
We got Mike Nuss in the house. We got Trevor Howard. I'm Gabe Johansson. Today, we're going to talk about Mike's current deal that you're working on, or you already closed it?
No, it's in escrow. Trying to figure out how to close it and what we're going to do and all that stuff.
All right,
but
give us some background.
Some background. So friend of a repeat seller that I bought some real estate from. Care facility. It's designed as a care facility in the 60s, and there's some other buildings on it and whatnot.
So does that mean it's kind of a medical layout? Or
yeah,
what?
Exactly. Yeah. So wings. Think of wings like you've got, you enter, you've got a couple offices, you've got a cafeteria in the center. Like if it's a U,
okay.
Cafeteria in the center of the U, and then on one wing you've got an entertainment space, living space, and there's a kitchen, obviously. Kitchen, cafeteria in the middle, two wings that go off it. One wing is like shared rooms with private baths. The other wing is private rooms with shared bath. And then there's another detached structure that has private rooms with private baths. So, it's designed and built for senior care facility.
And it's currently being used as?
An operating care facility.
How
That's
many
exactly what
beds
50.
total? Oh, 50 beds.
Yeah, so it's a big one. Or that's the problem. It's a medium-sized facility. So what you'll kind of typically see in this world is you get your 6-room house that was converted to an adult foster care.
Yeah.
Relatively simple licensing level and the oversight from the state's not that big of a deal. Problem is that value doesn't typically value the real estate. Does that make it's
Still
like
a
an
house.
Airbnb. It's a freaking house. And
Yeah, but you bring in like 10 grand a bed, I hear.
Doesn't matter.
it's like 5 or 6, but you don't as the owner, and that's the other thing is the owner doesn't. It's a business. They have to operate. Sure, they get 5 or 6 grand a person in there, but they have a full
Staff,
two.
yeah.
Yes, they have to staff it. They have to feed them.
And they're just paying you rent.
They have to wipe their bums. Like all it's that. No, so the operator would pay you.
Operator's
rent.
paying the owner rent.
Yes,
So are
and
you
then the
buying
operator's
this
making the profit.
business also, or just the real estate?
Well, that's the problem. Is these big care facilities, they're not really feasible anymore. Is that kind of like if you bring an operator in, and this is what we've experienced. So repeat seller who has care facilities. So we've built this relationship. We bought another one. The other one was
You already own a care facility.
yeah. So it was historic. It was couldn't be a care facility anymore. It lost its license. It was no longer operating, and so what you would need to do building code wise to get that license didn't make sense.
And you bought that one previously?
Yeah,
you
and then
ran it
converted
as a
into
care-
a sober home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so that was 12 or 14 beds, like 6 or 7 rooms.
Did you master lease it out to like Oxford House?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Okay.
So buy it and then have the operator operate it.
Is that a good model? You make money doing that?
That's the goal. Yeah, yeah.
Why do you do that? Because it's triple net. They take care of
Because it's
the
not my
long-term
specialty.
tenant.
Yeah. It's like a
yeah.
master lease. They run the tenant base.
Is it higher rent though than just buying a normal apartment building?
Well,
Like, what's
it's
the-
rented by the room. Yes, so it's a sober living atmosphere to it. There's a bunch of different kind of components in it. One is it's a tenant with cash. They're paying their rent, but there are other types of subsidies. There's now a whole nother level of interpersonal management skills. It's like an SRO almost. So it's a business. I don't want to have anything to do with the business.
you own the real estate. You're renting it to the person operating the business.
Correct.
But you're getting higher rents and you're achieving better. It's easier for you
Correct.
as the building owner to
Yep.
rent it out to this business rather than just rent it out as a normal.
It's like corporate housing or a master lease
Yep.
to somebody who just they might pay you a premium on rent, but they run the business.
And it's a commercial. Yeah. So and then they're set up as commercial leases. So that way it's triple net in effect.
So you have nothing to worry about. It's less headache on you.
Exactly.
It's easy.
Until you lose that lease.
Yep. And then it becomes a land bank. Like the first one, it's a great site to expand more units onto it or tear it down or some other type of conversions.
So the downside to these things are if that person moves out and you have this converted house thing to this specific user,
to
you don't
another
have more.
operator.
Is there a lot of operators of these things?
There's a decent amount more. And that's the nice thing about smaller structures is a lot of people can run them. And a lot lot of people are always getting in and out of that business. What you're typically going to find about the sober home is it's someone that has some type of medical related career that understands it, or someone who's been through that, benefited from it, changed themselves, became a real estate investor, and then that's their model. And so on the first one, that's what the partnership was really cool investor guy, always been wanting to do a deal for him. He just has a great heart, went through a whole bunch of stuff in life, gives back. This is his form of giving back. So it's like, here's this deal, dude. Let's just package it, make it work. And so that's kind of what this next opportunity is a similar thing. It's just on a much larger scale.
Are you bringing the same guy forward with you?
No, because his skill set isn't that large of an operation.
So the person who owns this building is currently owner and operator of the building and business?
Yep, correct.
And why do they want to sell the building?
Because they've got violations now at the state. So partnership that owns it, and one of the owners is who has been operating it. So essentially I have one partner who has lots of care facilities that's been silent on the operation side. Then you have the other partner who inherited through a divorce, who then is the operator, who is the owner, and is also a resident. And so those three things don't mix
he lives
well.
there.
Yeah. And
Like
so
as
now,
a patient?
Yep.
Wait.
Yeah.
He's the
That's-
operator and the patient?
Yep.
How does that work?
Does he pay himself to take care of himself?
Yeah. So that's how you get shut down by the state, right? So that's how you get violations.
Wait, so he has like dementia. This is for people with.
It's not a memory care. No, we're
Okay.
talking basic level senior care, people that are newly retired that are at the.
Okay, so it's a
senior
higher
level.
end, they're functional type of thing.
No, this is
Oh.
like, it looks like a sober home, but they're just old. That's what it looks like.
Okay. That's wild.
It's super wild. It's scary because now it's okay. So less than half of it's occupied. Do you terminate all those leases? Do you start over? Then you're doing capital expenditures. Do you do it as a senior care facility? Do you find another operator?
So the business is going to leave as you buy it?
It could not. Like, we can decide. That's where, and that's was kind of one of our sticking points in getting into escrows. Well, what do you do? And so what I just said is, well, we'll determine what happens with the leases after due diligence.
Why don't you make it rehab?
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing is,
inpatient rehab.
well, and you have different buildings. And so now we can talk about what am I looking at now is I want to partner with the sober home operator, and they're from the medical side. So they've got a medical sales business. They've started another medical business, and then they have these sober homes kind of across the Portland metro area. One of them, they just did like a $500,000 addition to, and they turned it into like 19 bedrooms. And so they went through, and then the county gave them some pushback on, this isn't a residence, you're in a single family home, but they're able to still get that permitted and then occupy that. So he's got the ability, the track record of showing a higher level of density of sober housing in more of a residential type.
So you think he could run like a really large Oxford style house there
Yeah, exactly.
instead of a rehab?
Correct. Yep.
Really?
And you want him to partner with you or just lease it from you?
Yeah, and that's what I want to, again, I'm all about aligning goals. And so this is what's really cool about this deal is, and I alluded to this a couple episodes ago, which was using what I've learned from you guys from a deal structure standpoint to get the seller more equity, put them in second, makes the financing a little bit easier for us to manage. We don't need as much equity. Give him portion of equity as the owner. So the guy who owns the operations side gets some owner in the real estate.
You're leaving him in the deal.
Leaving him in the deal on the ownership side, right? Because he's going to need to bring capital for all the private.
This is the one that owns all the other care facilities.
Exactly.
Not the.
Yeah, the other sober homes. Yeah.
Oh, sober homes.
Yeah. And then on the flip side, the lease that we sign with his operating company is a performance lease. And so as the ownership side, we get to play in the actual upside of what they do from a renovation
that's kinda
standpoint.
cool.
Yeah. So the goal, what we're trying to accomplish now is get our numbers to line up so we can get a base rate that makes us happy as owners that participates in their lease. But then that lease rate that works with them so they can be profitable and upside. And we structured seller financing where, no interest, no payments for a while, help us get everything set up.
How do you get around the legal minimum interest rate?
Oh, it's there. You just, the imputed interest.
Imputed.
Yeah,
IRS.
most people don't, which is high now. It's like 4.71%.
Yeah. What is? Do
That's
people
their
have
problem, not
objections?
mine.
Okay.
No, it's by the time it's done, that will be there. Don't ask me questions I don't know how to answer.
That's for their accountant to decide.
Yeah,
I asked
exactly.
you a question only I know the answer to.
Imputed.
How do you get
interest
around the
rate.
imputed interest rate?
I'll tell you later.
You're such
No,
a
I'm just kidding.
tease. Is this what I do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pulling a mic.
Yeah. You're just pissing him off. So tell us about the deal. Why would you chase a deal like this?
Well, I'm curious, how much are you buying it for?
Over $2 million.
What's the square footage on this building?
So why am I buying it? I feel like it's an as-is value of the improvements, getting the land for free type deal. Multiple buildings. It's a 9,000 square foot building, a 2,000 square foot building, a 500 square foot apartment, a 2,000 square foot house, and a garage with a studio above it.
So you're buying this thing for like
$100 a square foot, $90 a foot.
Oh, that cheap! Wow, that's okay. So you're the big land guy. So you're just like, it's just an asset.
It's a land. It's but it sucks because it's a residential zone. So this is where I've extended due diligence twice. I'm on like kind of my last extension because now it comes down to zoning. It's a residential zoning. You can't do this use in that zoning.
How have they been getting away with it?
They've got a grandfathered use.
And if they sell it, it's not grandfathered in?
Yeah, this was built in 62. Zoning code came in 79. So they have a grandfathered use for this use. And here's where, if you can understand use and occupancy, this is where developers kill it. Because use and occupancy are the same, but they're different. So what I need is a use that allows senior care occupancy and sober home occupancy.
Okay.
And I think I have that. I just want to confirm that. I think that those types of occupancies are in the same use. Yeah. And so it has a grandfathered use, and what I need to verify is that the occupancy I want is part of that use, and then two, the grandfathered use allows me to change occupancy.
Does it transfer upon transfer and title?
No, so it's three. The way grandfathered works is you have, if it goes vacant, you have 3 years to continue that use. So once that use has been gone for 3 years, it's gone. The grandfathered use is gone.
Okay. So the transfer of title doesn't even matter.
No. Yeah, it's not like a revocable permit.
Okay, because I was just going to think you could land sales or lease option it.
So you can permit these things with like special use, conditional use permits, which is a possibility that I just don't want to get my brain into. At the end of the day, the land is a big piece of land with the cottage cluster code in this area. I don't know, the land maybe becomes $2 million at some point, but it's not any time in the near future. So it has to make sense. But I think it's also something that we can put $300,000 into, make it worth over $3 million, have really good cash flow. And so it's just an asset.
So how do you figure out the zoning and use, and why has it taken so long to figure it out?
Yeah. So, well, you know what the zoning is, you know what the uses are. I just need confirmation of my interpretation of the code.
Why didn't you just ask ChatGPT? Wait, how long have you been trying to figure it out for?
Well, so to get a meeting with the city it takes like 28 days to get on their list.
Okay, so you're just waiting to confirm with them and have your pre-app basically?
And this isn't even a pre-app, it's just a stupid 15-minute meeting.
Yeah.
If I get the news that I like, probably what we'll do is go to an early assistance type discussion so I can get something in writing. So that's the other thing, is you need to make a decision. When do you want something in writing? When do you not? Like I'm working on this cottage cluster code in Southwest Portland. If you understand Southwest Portland, it's hilly. You don't have good stormwater management. The soil isn't great. So sewer and stormwater are these huge, huge issues. We have this random piece of land that is across the street from the environmental zone. It's not in the environmental zone, and storm and sewer are typically in the road. But this one lot has storm and sewer going down the sides of it, down the hill to the street behind it. So in that scenario, the BES already said, yeah, you can tap into a 6-inch main for both storm and sewer that's there. Okay, well, we don't need an EA. Our biggest issue...
What's an EA?
Early assistance meeting.
Okay.
Because we're confirmed based on this part of the code that they pointed to, you can use this. So, okay, if we didn't get that type of an answer, now you go to an EA, so it's written down. So when you're actually going through permitting and they change their mind, you go back to, well, we paid you for you to give us these notes that we spent tens of thousands of dollars on.
Wouldn't they just tell you to F off, though?
No, not when you have stuff in doc.
Okay.
The other thing is...
That's why they don't like to put things in writing.
Dude, the city does not like to do that.
No.
I'll be like, could you email me that? Like,
Nope.
Nope. Well, unless you pay them for it.
Okay.
The other thing is you don't have to go through the city. You can go through the state. So you threaten them to permit them at the state and take their permit fees away. That works well.
You can go around them.
Yep.
You're saying.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It is fun. So going back to the care facility is, if I can get this occupancy there, then partner's great. Guy who's got a great track record, makes a ton of money, can write checks, has capital, has access to capital, great businessman, fun to work with. kind of all those elements that then allow us to do what's great here. And what I really even want to do about this is, so essentially, we'll have some type of TIC partnership. We're going to use like a 2-year hard money bridge debt loan, construction loan on the front end, seller financing on the back end. The LLC that I'm going to create for my ownership portion of it is I'm going to give some ownership to my staff as well. So it's kind of a simple deal structure and start walking the walk, right? So this is what I've relayed as a message is the next phase is for you guys to get equity in our projects because you've been here and you've been loyal. And so now we can start doing that.
How much do you give away for that?
I don't know. It probably won't be much. I have no clue.
I think I mean I love that idea because then they're invested.
Yeah.
Does it go? So how do you handle? Does that go away if they leave your company? It's just profit share and not actually equity?
That's what I need to. I have no clue. I haven't even gotten to that level of discussion yet because that complicates. Based on my early conversations with the CPAs, that gets really convoluted. Just give them some equity. And at this point, I don't care if they I care if they stay, obviously, but
you want a vested interest.
I want a vested interest, but they've earned it. Like if they have a bigger and better, like you having a better opportunity that's better than me, like I'm not going to be upset about that.
How'd you find the deal? You said you'd done deals with this.
Yeah. Yep. So it was just a previous seller called and said, hey, here's the scenario. You know, my ex-wife and my old partner. So he was the partners because that's what he does. She got it through the divorce and now his ex-partner and wife are in this scenario. And the ex-partner just doesn't want to save it. So he got in, started carrying the violations, make sure they didn't lose their license. A lot of work. And he has other care facilities and here's the problem about these mid-sized care facilities. His operator partners on his other properties are like, and everyone says this, we'll just tear it down. Like this building doesn't work for where senior care facilities are now. Sure, for people that are one step away from homeless that are now maybe sober, this works for them. It's not going to work for a business model. So you got to tear it down and rebuild it to get the today's amenities that make sense. Kind of like office space, right? And so then, okay, well, it doesn't make sense to tear it down because the price is way too high. So it has to work in another use.
Okay, so you get this use code. They allow you to do sober living.
Mm-hmm.
Looks good.
Yep.
You said you're financing with hard money?
At the front end, yep.
Okay.
Yep, and then again, make it worth 3 or what. We're into a 2-ish, mid-2s.
Yeah. And then who's bringing all the money on the front end? Or you're seller financing a portion of it?
Yeah, exactly. So we'll probably need to bring in 10%, 2 to 250 down.
Yeah, and just do a normal hard money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool. How much does that thing rent for, you think? Like, for the whole...
That's what we're trying to back into right now.
Okay.
And so we had our initial call and went over his spreadsheet last night. And I like a spreadsheet. His numbers make sense. We need to... he didn't know kind of what our loan terms were going to be, so we're having to back that into. But we're pretty close to finding out a play. And so what I tasked him with is, this is where we're at. You need to tell me what lease rate that company is comfortable with, and we need to back that into a deal structure.
Yeah.
So that's the beautiful thing about this is we can just change the deal structure as needed to make that use work.
So you go ahead.
Oh, no, you go ahead.
Would you try to get some preliminary commitments from your...
Here's the best part. Again, and here's how the universe works, right? He currently has a 12-room facility 5 houses away.
Oh.
And the lease expires in a month.
Oh, so you can just already...
Yeah. So you take the... Okay, so...
Take the half that are already there, move a few more in, you've already got a business going.
Yep.
Are you worried... Because you're doing a lot of diverse deals right now. Does that... Your mind space is everywhere.
Yeah, well, and here's the question last week. And this is the best part of working with private lenders is because they ask you things you don't think of. At a private lender, you'd say, so what happens if you die? It's like, fuck.
My daughter will run the business.
No, my staff will, right?
Yeah.
So and that's the conversation. I'm not working on anything in the past. Everything I'm working on is in the future. And so if I were to die, my staff know how to finish a project. They know how to close title. They know how to do everything to create the end value to allow a liquidation to happen for the lender to get paid. And so this answers your distraction. I'm not distracted because I'm not distracting my staff. Office Tower, 0% of the resources outside of me are going into that deal. So my business is not distracted. I'm distracted, but my business isn't distracted. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The care facility is a little bit more different because now the acquisition manager is involved in the disposition or the acquisition side of it, due diligence. There's distractions there. But I think it's just another deal that he's spending his normal amount of time in. So it's, office tower, we talked about it being outside the lane, but it isn't in the aspect of I'm a quarterback. Like, that's my special whatever, is being a really good quarterback.
I think you're the coach.
Yeah, whatever. Coach.
Finding the pieces.
He's higher than the
You're
coach.
the GM.
He's
Yeah.
the GM.
You're the GM.
Yeah. That's probably a better analogy. So, like, the operator will be the QB of that project. Yeah. GM's probably better. And so the beautiful thing about, if that's my highest and best use as GM, is that's not a lot of bandwidth suck. It's conversations. And I was talking to this about my coach. So I graduated from Jason Dries. He passed me off. He's like, "You're doing good as a business guy. Now you need to work on dat stuff." You got
Jason Dries. That's who is that? I've heard.
He coached Brandon Turner, was kind of his quick thing to fame, and so he's coached a ton of real estate.
He's like
operators.
a life coach type of thing, or
The alignment coach
Okay.
is it's hard for him to state what he does. I wouldn't say I got any business coaching out of it, but he helped me immensely get into become in the mindset of who I needed to be to get through those issues.
How often do you meet for something like that?
Twice a month,
For like an hour at a time?
45 minutes a time.
So is it kind of like counseling in a way?
It's exactly what it is. Yeah, and that's where, again, you only get the value out of how vulnerable you're going to be. Like, do you let them know what's going on? And he's a guy, like, no program. There's no program. There's none of this. It's none of it. It's you get on the phone and you give him an update and you be honest. There's a form you fill out every week, but it's for me to give him an update on, and I just need to be honest, and I just need to freaking vomit all over him, and then he picks out a couple.
How much does
things.
that cost?
It's expensive. It was a lot.
Like over $5,000 a month expensive?
Not that much, but it was close. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was, at the time, I signed up in October. It was a big stretch for me to add that level of cost on, but it was, again, investment, right? Do you think of things as
I'm
an
a big fan
expense
of
or
that
investment? Yeah. It was one of the best investments I made. Creekside's getting to be the next.
Golf.
Yes. So much fun, dude.
I hate golf.
You just work too hard. You just work too much.
I like email
Yeah.
better than golf.
It's funny. Adam called you out. He's like, "That's not it. He just likes to work too much. He can't go an hour without checking his email." You just do on the tee box. You're good.
That ruins it. It ruins the email and it ruins golf.
That's true. See, you're present. Value of presence.
Yeah, you're kind of so, because right now you're talking like we've talked about so many deals you're doing, like office tower, candy shop, business, this thing now, and then you're talking about like duplexes and houses and all this stuff. You have a really weird buy box right now,
Yeah,
or you don't have one.
I don't have one.
Yeah.
I have more of like a deal element box that I want.
What is it?
People we can have fun with. Not too much of a drainage of financial resources, or if it is a big financial resource drain, it's a huge reward. Types of partnerships that expand the pile of what we're already operating on, and I think more importantly, expanding without sucking the bandwidth out of my staff. So where can we add to something? So like the candy store, it's not my market.
Mm-hmm.
New contractors, new manager, like it's all on me and my partners to go build a completely different team to do that project. So my staff gets to, like, what I want right now is the machine's humming. I want to flip houses. I want to build condos. I want to continue to pull some rentals, some small asset class rentals into the portfolio. Let my staff, that's what they do well, keep them in their lane, and then I go work on getting some bigger assets in.
I'm curious. Did you have a question?
No, go.
I was curious when you're building it, because you have a pretty cool machine like that's doing that whole process without you being involved. What step did you need to remove yourself from that was the hardest to get yourself out of, where you thought, I am the only one who can do this thing?
Yeah, seeing properties and making offers, right? Like, hey, I got to see it to make an offer. So the step is having faith that the person that is putting your reputation out into the universe is doing it in a way that's going to allow you to, A, stay profitable, B, not kill your reputation, and C, propel it forward. And that's what Daniel's done really well.
Did these people come pre-trained, or did you train them all?
Daniel came trained in the wrong way. So he came from California from a hedge fund. So it was all in California. You don't have unknown. Everything's $40,000 to do your construction. Everything's $40,000 in profit. And then you scale a machine around that and you buy everything. So he came into a market where all the remodels are different, all the profit levels are different, all the deal structures are different. He's used to just buying from wholesalers to, well, no, we don't buy from wholesalers because we pay you. So you have to become that engine. Then you have to get these deals that work for us. And so his training just shifted to then. It took a couple years for him to get his vision, for him to see through my goggles, if that makes sense. And then, at some point he then starts getting it, and then you give them more and more responsibility and back off and allow them to make some mistakes and lessons. Like we learned we paid too much for a house recently, and Daniel came back. He's like, dude, we did pay too much. I shouldn't have done this. And he's like, I don't want to get my bonus on this. I don't want this because, if you're not going to make money, I don't want to make money. Does that make sense? Like,
that's a good employee. Wow.
Yeah. But I'm also giving him amazing investment opportunities at the same time. So
that's pretty cool. He sees your vision and he's committed to. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. And so if you think about that, if my job is to get bigger deals, and what I'm communicating with is I want you to have equity in deals. Well, that incentivizes them to keep the machine smooth, so I can then go get them ownership of real estate, because the ownership of real estate won't come from our machine. It'll come from the new arm.
Yeah, they're the cash side of your business.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Finally, I got to the point where I'm like Gabe, where I have the machine at a point where it is allowing me to go do my highest and best sell.
How many years did it take you to do that?
It's hard to say because we got distracted.
With the distractions, how long did it take?
12 years in total. I'd say without the distractions, 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have a cash side and you have a cash flow side.
Yeah.
There's one of the things we talk about all the time is now money and tomorrow money. So to build wealth, that's one of the reasons, like in our last episode, we talked about some people can't grasp the concept of thinking so far down the road that they want to build wealth. Like, why would I want to own a building? What does it do for me right this minute? And to your, what you've done is you've gone out, and business and buildings, to me, I like real estate. So real estate related businesses and real estate. And it makes it simple because I'm a real estate professional. We get the tax hack, not having to pay taxes because of depreciation. But, if you're just a Paul Curley or you're just a Logan DeVos and all you have is your portfolio, you very well may do a better job with that portfolio and build a lot more wealth, but you're going to live on no money for a long time. And guys like that don't really care. Logan's the only guy I know that's probably worth $25 million that won't spend more than $1 on a pair of sunglasses. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, you live like that. You just learn to live on very small amounts of cash because you're building wealth. So I love the idea because I love to make money and I love to have money, and I don't want to be frugal, and I don't want to be a miser. I want to live the life I want to live right now and have the luxuries of life, and I want to build wealth.
Yeah.
I want both.
Yeah.
And that's
and
what
you
you're
can
doing.
have it.
You can have it. If you build a machine, and you got to be willing though to play both games.
Yeah.
We're not just playing one game. It's not just buy the real estate. We're also building and buying we're buying businesses, and those produce the cash flow,
and they compete with each other, and so there's the skill set of.
But they also there's a nice synergy there because it builds you a nice regular war chest that's coming in, so that you can go buy this medical facility, or you can go buy an office tower and feel like, well, even if it went south or we needed a little bit more money, we're generating the money over here. It's not like that deal went south and we're screwed and we're going to lose it to the bank. We've got these levers that we can pull because we have income coming from somewhere.
Yep.
It's super important. I love what you're doing. I think it's super cool to watch you transition. Mike's evolution. In every episode, it seems like Mike's just getting bigger and bigger.
You're welcome for this weekly coaching we get.
I know.
Except for physically, he's getting smaller. He's losing weight. He's tan. Clemente cut his hair. He's out there. I don't know. The girls are probably chasing you. You're single still? You got a girlfriend now?
I'm single. Yeah.
Most eligible bachelors. Are you single, Trevor? Or are you still maybe TBD? Is Dane single? No, Dane's getting married.
Dane getting married?
How did I end up in a podcast with a bunch of guys that aren't married? We got the most eligible bachelors right here. That's why you guys are
because Jan just needed to do her specialty and do some hooking up. You just needed to give her a challenge in life. Yeah, Jan, your matchmaking's like your skills are getting some cobwebs. We need to shake it off.
All right. Well, that was a cool deal. I think we're going to wrap it up. Or do
Yeah.
you have any other questions
We
for
gotta
Mike?
go.
Yeah.
Okay.
We got
gotta
Brian
go.
Murray.
Oh,
Woohoo, Brian Murray.
We have a Zoom call with Brian Murray. We'll do a follow up and talk about this.
I think that's what the next episode should be.
Ooh, this will be fun.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, guys. We love doing this podcast. We hope you're enjoying listening to us. Please follow, share, do all the things that you do with podcasts so that your friends will listen. And if you have any recommendations for us, people you'd like to hear on the show or
Message
topics,
us on Instagram.
message us on Instagram.
We can check that. And get
What's our
comments.
Instagram handle?
Deal Junkies Real Estate Podcast?
Did I date
Deal
myself
Junkies
by calling it a
Podcast.
handle? Is it called something else?
I don't know.
It's good enough.
It's like it has a little @ sign next to it.
Yeah.
Deal Junkies Podcast,
Or email us at dealjunkiespodcast@gmail.com.
Sweet.
or just track down Trevor.
Or just find Trevor.
Just find Trevor. Trevor at smire.com.
Yep.
Just tell Trevor what we need to do. Anyway, thanks a lot for listening. We will see you next time.